Hello, this is Michael doing the um, Superior Fantasy monologue, character Nathan, starting in 5 seconds. Five, four, three, two. I think there is a difference between a Caucasian person and a white person. A Caucasian person is one whose skin just happens to be lighter than yours. They are just trying to get through life in America just the same as black people are. And they don't treat you any different than anybody else. But a white person, when a white person walks in the room, you can tell by the way they look at you. They know that they're white and you're black. It's the smugness in their face when they look at you. They come to events in our community and act like they should have special treatment or some merit badge for coming off their high horses and spending an evening with the help. And when you enter into majority white areas, they look at you like you lost. What you're about to hear will not be pleasant for the ears. When I speak of white America, I do not speak of every white citizen in America. I speak of the majority of America who influence the laws that keep the good old boy network in power or reap the benefits of it while giving their silent consent in order to protect their privilege. It's pretty much the same as I feel about cops. I know not all are assholes. I know some who actually do good in black communities. If my loved ones or I were in danger, I would surely call them. But as for the majority of them, I hate cops. I wish I could stand here and tell you something politically correct. Wish I could make my language nice and plentiful for your ears, but I wouldn't be true to myself if I stood here and told you that I trusted any cop that I didn't know personally before he put on a badge. Anytime I see that uniform, I immediately begin to think about all the times those bastards have harassed me ever since I was 14 years old. A few months ago, I had just left the barber shop and I was headed to Urban World Film Festival. I knew there'd be some pretty fancy events during the festival, so I could walk up in there looking basic. Went to the H&M for a new outfit, hit up the barber shop on 125th, went in my closet, pulled out the good shoes. I was fresh. One of those days where you feel like you have the world at your fingertips. One of those days where you have unstoppable confidence. Even the ranchativity that was destined to await me on a New York City subway couldn't fuck up my vibe as Jay-Z's Beach is Better blasted through my headphones. I walked down the steps of the subway at 207th Street, gliding down each step like I was walking in a slow motion music video. Needless to say, I was feeling myself that day. I hit the bottom of the steps, and I was immediately stopped in my tracks by the police table at the bottom. Three white officers and one black stood at a table with a sign that said NYPD will be conducting random bag searches. All searches are random. We do not need your permission to search your property. My Adam's apple dropped into my stomach. The two white guys in front of me walked through the turnstile with ease, but I froze. I thought back to when I was driving one night in Pittsburgh. I pulled up to a stop sign behind a rustic red Chevy that was literally going 15 miles an hour on a 20-mile-an-hour street. I stayed patient for 2 blocks. The shit got annoying, so I went around him. After that, he began to speed up, getting really close to my bumper. And naturally, I sped up to get away from him. He began to speed up again, pulling up close to my bumper. You see, I'm from Belts Hoover, and I was in Homewood. And even though both neighborhoods were Crip territory, it very well could have been Bloods looking to do a drive-by. I decided to punch it and get the hell out of there. This car chased me for 4 blocks. I pulled up to an intersection and was surrounded by police squad cars. I had been followed by undercover cops who never flashed their lights or put on a siren. A few of them yanked my car door open and pulled me to the ground. And all the other cops had their guns drawn on me. As they pulled me out of the car, I heard one of them repeatedly say, "Where the fuck were you going so fast? Get your black ass on the fucking ground." He slammed me on the ground. One of the officers put his foot on the back of my neck. Another officer put a gun in the back of my head, said, "Move 1 inch and I'll blow your fucking head off." He began to search my car. And I told him I wasn't a criminal. I said I'm an actor and a teacher. And one of the officers said, bullshit. And I told him it was true. And if they looked one block down the street, there would be a billboard with my picture on it advertising my one-man show. I went into survival mode. I tried to convince them that I'm one of the good ones. They radioed to a squad car to check it out. The squad car radioed back and confirmed it. They helped me off the ground as an undercover officer said, sorry about that, buddy. He informed me that a car that resembled mine had been stolen and my car fit the description. It's pretty odd because at the time, I was driving a 2003 Dodge Neon. Who in the fuck risked getting caught driving a Dodge Neon? As he gave me my license back, he left me what he thought was sound advice. Stay out of trouble. As if I needed to hear that. After thinking back to that moment and several others that would follow, I snapped back into the present to the possibility of a possible police search ahead. I began to sweat. My heart was pounding in my chest. I just knew I was going to get searched. I knew stop and frisk was over, but I ain't trust them. Was I going to stand up for myself this time? Was I going to be a man? I decided to be smart and smile. The eyes locked on me as I walked through the turnstile. I got through without being stopped. I became at ease at the fact that I made it through the possible police search unscathed. I sat across from the two white guys who passed the table before I did, and they were laughing at a picture on one of their phones and hadn't even paid the police search any mind. Ironically, they're both wearing hooded sweatshirts, and I'm dressed to impress. I'm tired of walking around eggshells and trying to be less aggressive just to make white people feel more comfortable around me. I started by asking myself, like, how did I start this shit? This apologizing for the color of my skin. Why did I'm tired of walking on eggshells and trying to be less aggressive just to make white people feel more comfortable around me. I started asking myself how I started this shit, this apologizing for the color of my skin. Like, why did I immediately know what to do in that situation? The non-threatening smile and walk was my default. I had done it before I even got a chance to think. And thinking back to my childhood, I remember many moments when I was out with my friends' parents. Before we could walk into any toy store, we always got the same lecture. Don't touch shit, don't ask for shit. And my friend's mother would always end the lecture with a famous quote from parents in the black neighborhood. Don't go up in here showing y'all's color. It's something that was embedded into the men of my generation at a very young age. When I was 17 years old, I entered into this competition in Pittsburgh for young black men called the Mr. African American Competition. It was a chance to win $1,000, feature articles in all of Pittsburgh's newspapers, and meet a lot of cute girls in our sister pageant, Miss Black Teenage. Well, I won. And I remember it being some of the best years of my life. The only thing I never liked about it was that they made us smile throughout the entire evening. They made us practice our smiles every Saturday leading up to the pageant. And after a while, all the contestants' cheeks started shaking because of having to hold that smile. And the reason we had to practice our smiles always stuck in the back of my head. They told us that we had to practice smiling so it could be our default face in the public as we walked down the street. And maybe people wouldn't be so scared of us. By smiling, we could come off as non-threatening. And white women wouldn't be so scared to stand next to us on the elevators. Man, I'm tired of feeling like something grotesque. Every race of people have sociopaths who do horrible things. I'm tired of taking responsibility for the individual black men who choose to live like animals, while white boys are not being treated like they could potentially shoot up an elementary school with an AR-15. I don't give a damn whether white people believe these stories or not. These things happened. You can justify it however you like, but this shit doesn't happen to white men. And it is so annoying to sit on a job and hear people having things to say about something they know absolutely nothing about. People act like racism is some huge dragon that lives in the hills of the deep south. Racism is just a fantasy of superiority. It's a bedtime story that America told its children over and over again. And they forgot to tell them it was all a lie. It's a lie that America doesn't want to wake up from because it's a lie that's become convenient. And because white people have never experienced the lower end of the stick of racism, they can't fully recognize when it is and isn't happening. Yet, they have so much to say about whether or not it still exists. The victim blaming of unarmed black bodies shows that white people aren't really tired of racism. White people are tired of talking about racism. They want us to shut up about it. They want us to pretend like it's not happening. They want us to look at Barack Obama, Michael Jordan, Oprah Winfrey, and believe that everything is okay with us because those three made it. Therefore, we should be able to as well. We got a black president, so, racism, it must be over. Whether white America wants to acknowledge it or not, things are very lopsided in this country. And we're sick of it. We've been talking for too long and we keep getting the same excuses. If we keep ignoring race in this country, something bad is going to happen. If black people, if black people do not start getting treated as human beings, if police do not start treating us with respect in our own communities, if we don't start receiving some justice at the hands of these brutal murders, our patience will run out and it could possibly steer this country into another civil war. I no longer believe in the justice system in this country. It's open season on black people. And if you're not pursuing your license to carry, you're gambling with your own life. If they refuse to change these gun laws, then we need to play by their rules. We must establish a way to defend our communities from anyone who threatens it, white or black. If the police will not protect us, then it's time for us to start protecting ourselves.